Today's show will cover a variety of news about Tesla that happened over the last few days. First, we have China automaker XiaoPeng's CEO publicly acknowledging they use Tesla's battery technology. Second, we'll have a discussion about Tesla's FSD pricing and how we can make that more attractive. Third, it looks like even more big chain hotels are installing more Tesla charging stations this time. It's choice hotels. And finally, our favorite topic, advertising. Guess what, though? We're going to show you how Tesla is spreading the word in a way that only they can do it. Today, we're going to be joined by Hans Nelson. He has his own YouTube channel, Hans C. Nelson. Thank you so much, Hans.
Thanks for having me, Herbert.
So this is something we haven't done in a while. It's a combination of a variety of fun stories, a lot of things happening with Tesla, and so it's great to combine them and get your thoughts on this because some of these are pretty big, important topics. So the first one here is a video that just came out where Xiaopeng CEO publicly acknowledged using Tesla's battery safety technology, open source in 2014. So Tesla announced that that's the case, but they stressed Xiaopeng said that they've done a lot to innovate the open source technology. So this is, I'm not gonna try to
的它
play it,
的
but just so you can see
电
it,
池的技术。
I'm not gonna be able to translate that, but basically here's him talking about this. Um, the reason I brought this topic up is because just in the last earnings call, you had Elon talking about how they're they had all these AI days, they were revealing all this technology, and he was actually saying, that companies are copying it, and so he's actually now worrying if he should have done that a little late. What's your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I think that, there's a difference between artificial intelligence technology and EV technology. And so, just according to Elon's mission, that Tesla's supposed to be transitioning the world to sustainable energy. And so, sharing their intellectual property on EVs is something that really is also core to the mission. And so it's great actually to finally see we've known that companies like Ford and GM have not really done a whole lot to take Tesla up on those patents that have been open sourced. We haven't seen those things really incorporated into those vehicle platforms yet. Um, but one of the things we've heard from Sandy now for a while is that man, the Chinese auto manufacturers are really on point. That they're very invested. We, based on comments that he's made, we know that a number of them have actually hired Monroe and Associates. They're hiring other people. They're doing lots and lots of investigation in this space, and that they are really trying to up the level of their technology and their manufacturing prowess. And so it's not really surprising to see that Xiaopeng, in fact, I would be surprised if any of the really successful Chinese EV manufacturers have not been doing this. I'm sure that BYD, Neo as well have really been deep into those patents. Um, Obviously, they're going to pick and choose what makes sense for what it is that they're doing, but I'm sure that a lot of those things have been incorporated because these things were shared as open source. I would like to see, if Xiaopeng is actually building on those open source technologies and making their own improvements, it would be great if they would actually turn around and open source those improvements as well. Just turnabout is fair play. If they're taking this free intellectual property from Tesla, they should contribute that back to the open source community, very much in line with the way that open source software works. I highly doubt that they're actually going to do that, but it would be something that'd be nice to see.
Yeah, a lot of people when they saw that they were like, attacking Xiaopeng. But look, Tesla open sourced it. They want to, as you said, accelerate sustainable energy. So there's nothing wrong. In fact, but it's actually a good thing that he publicly acknowledged that they did this because it's better than just, he actually thanked Tesla. This isn't the first time. There's others as well. So it's a good thing. And it's just that
Mhm.
if Tesla was revealing things that they didn't want to reveal, which is what it sounded like Elon's saying, then they need to be a little more careful for those things because competitors are coming. I don't think we should be worried about competitors as we've been saying for so long. But um, if Elon is concerned about it, then yeah, he'll change the way going forward. Okay.
And I think that artificial intelligence, it is such a force multiplying factor that it is something that they need to be much more careful about
Mm.
how much they are sharing in that area. I mean, especially the other thing that we see is just open source artificial intelligence technology is gaining steam rapidly. It's
Mhm.
usually not that far behind whatever the cutting edge closed source stuff is. And so they don't necessarily need to be giving other people ammunition to help catch
Mhm.
up because the open source community is probably going to do that on their own. Whereas in the EV space, people were not actually making those innovations. And so it's you make a lot more positive impact on the world by contributing intellectual property and technology and expertise to an area where other people are not actually doing any work
Mhm.
versus open source
Mhm.
AI where like
Yeah.
the entire world is has that football and they want to run with it as fast as possible. So, Tesla doesn't necessarily need to contribute to that
To
any
do that.
further than they have.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, let's go to the next story here, which is full self-driving. So we had news a few days ago where Tesla said, "Hey, if you've got full self-driving in one of your cars, if you buy a new car by March of this year, you can transfer FSD transferability, but the price of FSD is still at $12,000 if you decide to buy it new." And so this is Omar's catalog said this, announce to customers that due to recent economic headwinds, FSD package price should be lowered to $5,000. So he's saying instead of 12,000, lower to 5,000. But then if you want the ability to have it to be transferred in the future, transferable to any another car anytime, charge $10,000. I like this. So instead of 12,000, you have a choice. You want to buy $10,000, but you have the ability to transfer it, or just $5,000 if you don't ever plan to transfer it out of your car, and then cut the FSD subscription price to $99 instead of $200. You'll get way more people jumping on board. What do you think? Why do you think Tesla has not actually changed the price of FSD?
So I think that would be a great move to maximize short-term revenue and profits. But you always have to think of things in terms of both benefits and costs, or what are the trade-offs. And one of the things that I think this does, and this is my read on why Tesla has not done something like this in the past, is that I think that really now that they don't have the safety score as a gating factor to allow people to use the FSD beta software package, the only thing that they have that prevents the system from being used by people who would abuse the system are, whatever the internal safety warnings are, but also the price. That the overall target market of people who are trying to use FSD beta is going to be a lot smaller the higher that price point is. And my read is that just currently Tesla's very happy with the size of the FSD beta fleet, that they don't need any more users than they currently have in order to continue to do all of the development work that they're trying to do on FSD beta, whether that's version 12 or that's been true also in the past under version 11. And so until they really solve FSD beta version 12 safety issues, which we know from Holmar's blog that there's been some more safety critical incidents that he's had recently on V12. Until they solve that issue, I don't think that Tesla really wants more people to be using FSD. And they're not hurting for the cash. Yes, it would be a nice little boost to gap earnings, and it would be a nice boost to the Tesla stock here in the next 6 months if they were to do something like that. I think that the management team of Tesla is very comfortable with the fact that these technologies, they know for a fact that they're going to be hugely valuable over the long term, and they're not worried about trying to pull any of that profitability forward. They just want to make sure that the software is to the level of functionality that they want it to be at when they go ahead and turn on the pricing power that they have in order to bring in more users. And I do 100% expect that we will see Tesla do something exactly like what Omar is referring to here when they feel like the safety of V12 is to the point that they're comfortable doing that. And I think, in fact, it will not only be that, but eventually we'll see Tesla offering full self driving beta as a free 1 month trial. And it will go out to all users in North America. And I think that that is going to be one of those points that really signals the shift in Tesla's strategy to actually deploy and gain market share with that system. Once you see that free trial, I think you can feel very confident that Tesla's extremely comfortable with the safety of the system, and now they want as many users as possible. And moving forward from that point, they can pull whatever type of pricing levers that they want to. They can have a variety of different types of packages that are all at different price points and offer different levels of functionality to where they have essentially something for every single owner of a Tesla to get benefit out of these advanced driver assistance
Hmm.
systems, and that Tesla will be earning SaaS revenue off of those services, and that's going to be a huge catalyst for the business.
No, I like that your point that they can do this later and they will do this later. I think the part I just wish for is FSD transferability should just be automatic. Anybody who buys a car decides to buy FSD, decides to buy a second car, they can decide if they want to transfer. It doesn't cost Tesla anything. Not sure what the reason why they aren't doing this. They're obviously offering it now for certain periods of time as a benefit, maybe to try and improve, but they can just do it all the time. I'm sure
Yeah.
they're going to do that, but it's annoying that you can't do that if you want to, and I don't see why they can't do that. Okay,
I
let's
assume
talk.
that that's an artifact of Elon's optimism on timelines. I think he
Yeah.
expected FSD to be a better, more capable system by now, and he
Hmm.
didn't necessarily want something that provided hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of economic benefit to be transferable
Hmm.
from purchase
I
to
see.
purchase. But right now,
Yeah.
it's not that
Yeah.
valuable. And so I think that as a concession to
Yeah. He
owners
can.
who have supported the development of this
Yeah.
product
Yeah.
and laid out a lot of cash for something that honestly hasn't been necessarily as valuable as they hoped it would be,
Hmm.
that they should be able to transfer it, and I 100% agree with that.
I mean, they should be able to transfer it now, and then as soon as he feels like SVC is a real deal, then he could stop it at that point. But okay, let's next story is something you and I have been talking about a lot, which is there's going to be major uh, companies announcing more and more superchargers or Tesla charging wall connectors in their retail stores or hotels. And here's another one: so Choice Hotels, a very big hotel chain just announced they're going to add at least 4 Tesla charging wall connectors to all of its upscale Cambria brand properties. It's also going to make the chargers available at many of its Radisson and Country Inn and suites and comfort and quality and properties. Here's Choice Hotels jumping in the bandwagon. You and I have done stories where we announced Hilton Hotels. They announced 2,000 US hotels will be adding Tesla chargers. You've got Marriott also doing that. They've all announced these things. So this is just another one on the path here, and there's going to be many, many more.
Yep, I like the wording of at least 4 in
Mhm.
all of its upscale ones, and hopefully, it's gonna be even more than that. A lot of times, it's actually difficult to be able to charge at these stations when you get to a hotel because they're already full, or and the other thing that gets real frustrating is when it's actually ICE vehicles that are parked in those parking spots. But this is, a great start, and we'll just continue to see this infrastructure get built out over the coming decade. It's not going to be that long, probably somewhere between year 5 and year 10 of this transition, that you'll essentially be able to charge your vehicle anywhere that you go very easily, that the convenience of the charging infrastructure will be at or above what the convenience of fueling up an ICE vehicle is today.
Yeah, I think we're almost there. Honestly, I mean, the more and more of these companies announce that they're going to have chargers there, and even gas station and oil companies are announcing that they're rolling out superchargers. They're buying superchargers from Tesla, rolling out in Europe. They're rolling out in the U.S. Yeah, a few more years, and I don't think anybody's going to be concerned anymore. It's going to be everywhere. And once like your favorite brands have it there, it's just what I mean, it's one of those things where yeah, there's a ton of these hotels everywhere. If I ever need something, I just pop into Hilton, Marriott, or Choice Hotel. So I think it's going to be good. Okay, big topic here is advertising and communication. One of the reasons why the Tesla stock is down is people feel like Tesla's not doing a proper way to communicate. And then a big thorn on a lot of people is the price cuts. They should have educated. You and I have already talked about this many times. Everybody's had this discussion. We both agree that there should be educational. It's just the nuance of the debate here. So let's see what Tesla's actually doing based on these arguments. So here's Gary Black once again talking about I still don't get why Elon doesn't refuses to educate non-EV owners on the benefits of EVs, lower costs, easy to charge, better tech, all these things. Great creative EV communications is fully consistent with Tesla's mission of accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. Communication shouldn't be just to the existing Tesla owners on YouTube and X. Tesla has to target the ICE owners who don't know anything. But after he says that and all that, but of course there's different kinds of advertising and marketing that Tesla's already doing. Here's just news this morning breaking: Tesla started paid advertising on X in the US. I'll play a little bit of that, and then we'll also share other ways that Tesla's advertising. Let's look at this. So you can just see this at this point. These are ads on X that they're now marketing. Makes sense, of course. Elon owns X. Of course, they're going to do this, and but, and then they have already talked. They also talked about that Tesla is already doing Google advertising. That was discussed in the earnings call. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that Gary's making a little bit of a false equivalency. Maybe I'm misinterpreting what he's writing there, but it seems to me when he looks at advertising online, whether that's on X or on YouTube, he's thinking about advertising just directly to the YouTube or the Tesla bubble. And I think there's a very large percentage of the population that is on X and on YouTube that are not in the Tesla bubble whatsoever. And so I think there's a lot of very effective marketing and education that can be done on those platforms that's not necessarily just catering to the Tesla base. And so that's one distinction that I would make. But then the other thing is Gary comes from a very traditional world, and obviously the traditional world is what Wall Street knows and understands and likes and kind of has an affinity for. I just don't expect Tesla to use a strategy that is a common strategy that has been used in the past. I think one of the things that everyone wants Tesla to do is, go buy that Super Bowl ad and, let's get this thing on the road. People have this very narrow view of what this education and marketing campaign is going to look like. And I think that Tesla, maybe they're not moving into this realm of marketing and education as quickly as we would like, but I do think that they 100% are engaged in this effort now. And they are on their own kind of exponential path of discovery on how to do that effectively and cost effectively, especially. And that's something that, a lot of traditional advertising is not cost effective in any way. Most advertising execs will tell you only 50% of the ad budget works, and we just can't tell you which 50% it is so that we can know what to cut. That is something that's really antithetical to the way that Tesla operates, that they like to do things as efficiently and effectively as possible. And so they're going to do things in a different way than a Ford or a GM is going to do them. And so we have to just understand that as we observe what Tesla is doing, that, they can 100% agree with us on this need, and that maybe the actions that they're going to take in order to meet that need are going to be different than the ones that we would naturally expect.
Yeah, and one of the stats that they dropped at the earnings call was that Tesla said that 90% of all new buyers are new buyers. They're not old Tesla. Only 10% are people who were previously owned a Tesla. So when when somebody like Gary says these things, Tesla should not advertise on X because that's only towards the people who own Teslas. It's like, do you actually think that Tesla doesn't know the statistics and that they're being dumb? No. When they advertise on X, they will advertise very specifically to people who don't already own a Tesla. And so it's like what you were just saying earlier. Now you also wanted to talk about the Cybertruck. So I'm going to play a video of what happened just last week, a couple of weeks ago, where Cybertruck was introduced to China, even though they're not intending to sell it there. And then also just this morning, they announced that they're going to show it to Japan. Let me play this and get your thoughts on why you wanted me to play this.
At stake for Tesla. Hi, Eunice.
Hey, Mike. Well, the Cybertruck is on display at the Tesla store behind me. This weekend, the company started showcasing the futuristic new vehicle in 8 Chinese cities, including here in Beijing. Now, Tesla continues to be a fan favorite among EV drivers here, despite the fierce competition by local brands. One of the criticisms, though, of Tesla is that it doesn't refresh its models quickly enough, especially when compared to some of its Chinese rivals. Now, for this Cybertruck, Tesla has not officially announced that the Cybertruck would come here to China. In fact, Elon Musk has gone on record as to say that it's going to be difficult. And one of the issues has been the regulatory environment, especially around trucks. But one point that was really interesting and picked up upon by a lot of the fans is that the name of the Cybertruck in Chinese avoids the word truck. So that's seen as a way for Tesla perhaps to eventually launch the Cybertruck here. Guys?
Eunice, I wonder, aside from just sort of the names and what the implications are, I mean, in the U.S., of course, pickup truck's the most popular type of vehicle. What's the case in China in terms of that ready kind of appetite for something that, even vaguely looks like a pickup truck?
Right. Well, it's interesting because here you really can't get a pickup truck, or if you do, you're not able to drive into the city, like into some of the kind of more packed areas. So there are a lot of regulations around it. And that's why it's interesting that in the name, people love to see these big cars. They love driving them. That's what they were talking about, is that everyone's impressed by the size. They love the look. They were talking about how it looks like an armored vehicle. People loved it. But the regulations are such that they don't allow what would be considered a pickup truck into the kind of more packed parts of the city. So the fact that it was called an urban traveling wagon, maybe not so catchy, but maybe it could get you around some of the regulations.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess the part we're looking at is when they toured this around, did you see it was just packed. Everybody was excited. This made waves. You saw that there was news, or everybody was covering it on the news and so forth. So this was a big deal, even though they're not selling it there.
Yep. So one of the key things for people to keep in mind is just this concept of earned media. And this is something that, for better or for worse, love them or hate them, this is something that we can actually see at work for a person like Donald Trump. That part of all of the controversial things that he says, that most of which I really would wish that he would not say, the point of those things is to get people to talk about him and for him not to have to pay for those people to talk about him. And so if you think about the amount of time and attention that all of these media outlets, CNN, CNBC, MSNBC, all of these things, Fox, that they talk about these subjects, and guess who is not paying out of pocket for those
Mhm.
things? Well, it's Donald Trump. And that allows him to run a very effective campaign for a much lower budget than his competitors. And so I think this is an overall concept that Elon Musk is obviously also very good at. And Elon is great at getting earned media. And right now, the Cybertruck is kind of the tip of the spear for earned media for EVs. The design is so bold and the look is so crazy. And then obviously, a lot of the technology that goes into it, like we've learned from Sandy Monroe, is really next level. And so they can use the Cybertruck as this eyeball magnet that gets a lot of earned media to actually start the process of doing exactly what we've been talking about, this education and EV marketing campaign. But instead of, taking out a Super Bowl ad, they just take their Cybertruck on the road. And then all these people flock to it and they get in-person attention, but then they also get this media attention. So this interview that we just watched is an example of earned media. And so I think that that's something that as we watch Tesla continue to engage in this marketing campaign, that we'll see them do that. And we also know that Tesla also focuses on local demand. They look at local demand pockets. And so I don't think it's any coincidence that, it was only a couple weeks ago that we heard Elon say that Japan is an area where Tesla needs to focus some of that EV education and marketing effort because no one there knows about it. Well, and then what do we hear? Tesla's going to be bringing the Cybertruck to Japan. And so, they do this marketing, but they do it on a location by location basis. They do it effectively. They try and engage in all of it with as little um, inefficient marketing spend and as much earned media as possible. And so I think that they are really on track to fulfill what shareholders and investors would like to see from Tesla in these areas. They're just not doing them in the traditional ways.
Love it. Thank you so much. We'll watch more of these kind of events that Tesla's doing, but certainly there's no, shortage of Teslas being shown everywhere else. They need to do more education, though, right? That part we both agree. They're going to do more of that, and they're testing it, is what they've said. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Hans. Follow him on his YouTube channel, Hans C. Nelson. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.